excited today to have Sarah Ashley, our content manager at the Business Growers, on the podcast. We're going to be talking about content. You hear all the time that, content is king as it relates to marketing. You've got a content marketing strategy that you can develop. A lot of people are really confused about what that really means for their business and how it can help drive the needle to profitability and generating leads for their business. So we're going to talk about how managed services providers and IT companies can utilize content to move the needle forward. Sarah, so excited to have you today. I love just what I've been able to see you do at the Business Growers and how I've been able to watch your progress and growth here. You are a content expert, and I'm so grateful to have you on my team. And I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today, how we're going to bring some value to managed services providers. So with no further ado, I'm going to jump right in so that we can start answering some questions, some commonly asked content questions that we get with our clients. And Sarah, based in Florida, she's originally from Mississippi, and has really been a star here at the Business Growers. So excited.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, excited I get to feature you today. So let's talk about what some common struggles are for managed services providers. One, particularly as we talk about social media. Obviously, there are lots of different kind of buckets that you can consider content generation tools or engines that you can use, social media being one of them.
Right.
A lot of times MSPs struggle to attract the right clients through social media. What are some of those pitfalls that you see businesses falling into as it relates to content on social media?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think businesses, particularly B2B businesses, really struggle with creating content that is human centric and that has like some personality behind it, like some non-generic posts. Like a lot of B2B struggle with posting generic images, stock photos, things like that. And it's okay to do that sometimes, but if that's all you're posting, that can definitely propel you down like a trap of just generic social media. And especially on platforms like Instagram, which a lot of MSPs are on Instagram, and generic sort of stock heavy photos just doesn't really work there. It can work on other platforms like maybe X or Facebook or whatnot, but
on Instagram, you're really looking at the same grid. So it probably just creates a little bit of monotony, I would say.
Yeah.
So what is the answer? How do you shift from generic content to content that really is going to resonate with your ideal client?
Good question. And I think regardless if you're B2C or if you're B2B, you really have to focus on who is consuming your content. And like your buyer personas, your audience, the people you are trying to attract with your content. And you can do that in a lot of ways. For example, you can create on LinkedIn, for example, you can create case studies that you can feature on your profile. And then you can, side note, you could actually create a case study on your LinkedIn profile, then run an ad to target your buyer who is interested in like and who has a problem that you can solve. And that you're showing that through like a trust factor through the case study.
I think that's really important. We talk a lot of our clients come to us having only worked for the last decade, 2 decades, only been generating leads from referrals. So they built their entire business for 20 years on referral based
like
sales.
Word of mouth.
Yes. And so then you get to a point where you're ready to generate consistent leads and not have to depend on referrals all the time for those leads. And people want to go straight to a Google ad or straight to some sort of lead generation online, which is great, except we forget that the referrals were sending you business because they trusted you in the first place. So I always like to say, why would we not build a relationship online by giving them things like you just mentioned, case studies, and providing value for them, not just trying to sell them because
Yeah,
nobody builds a relationship with, sales first. You've really got to be able to provide value, which I think case studies are great at that. So that's
definitely.
awesome. And then running ads to that gets, of course, more visibility. So what are some like killer content ideas? I know you've really been super creative on the ways that you've driven value for our clients in terms of content, whether it was ebooks, guides, how-tos, blog posts, social content. What are some like killer content ideas that MSPs and IT companies could implement across platforms that would work no matter what?
Specifically for B2B and B2B MSPs, case studies is a huge one.
Yeah.
That has so much value when you can create a case study and you can repurpose it across like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter specifically. That has so much value because you're not only telling people, hey, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing. You're also like providing proof points, like this was the problem, this is what we did, this is the data to back it up. And then you have it in this nice little package with a bow on it, and you can share it to the world. And when your target audience, your ideal client, comes to your LinkedIn, for example, they see that they're already, maybe they found you through search, or they found you through like a mutual connection or something. They're already sort of interested in you when they land on your profile. So when they see that, it just adds another layer of trust and like validation to you as an MSP that you know what you're talking about. So I think there's a lot of value in case studies, and infographics too are really shareable. So love an infographic.
And easy to digest too. I think that's the thing. We come from, I think in any sort of tech world, we come from a world of where we think that white papers are the gold standard. And white papers are great, but they're also hard to read, very technical. So let's remember, social media platforms are like a very quick, you want to be able to provide things that are quick and easy to digest. I also love an infographic. I think that's great.
Love a short infographic, specifically like calling out, big numbers, not a lot of text, not text heavy, just something that's skimmable and super relevant to your, your ideal buyer. Love an infographic. And you can share an infographic on X as well, and Facebook and LinkedIn. You can share an infographic on all those platforms, and even Instagram.
Yes, I think MSP, the infographics have the most opportunity to go viral because of, if it's really good information, data, research driven, that's really good.
The shareability factor.
Yes. So we just started at the Business Growers a webinar series. So what do you think? I know a lot of our MSP owners are a little gun shy typically at first when it comes to webinars, but I think that it's always good to remind business owners that they have something that other people need. And so webinars are a great way to do that. What do you think about like video content?
Oh, I feel like you have to be putting some focus on video. If it's not, a lot of B2B is very hesitant to record video, just from what I've seen on social media and just what other marketers have also, put out the same idea about. But you have to be doing some type of video, and if it's not, you showing up personally on social media with recording yourself, you could be doing a webinar or something that's less that feels less what do you call it? A lot of people feel like they don't put themselves like intrusive. That's a good word for it. Yeah, a webinar doesn't have to feel that way, and it's still
you can interview somebody else. That's what I like to do. I like to interview other experts. And I think too, we always feel like we have to be like perfectly camera ready and everything has to be, perfect. And I think that if you're really delivering good content and good value in your content, it doesn't have to be perfect all the time. We went from everyone having a perfectly curated grid on Instagram to now it's like just deliver value. What are some things that that no one else knows that you need to share, that the world needs to know? I think that get a little too caught up in that
value and authenticity, and just remembering that even though you are in B2B, you're an MSP, you're serving other business owners, there's also a human on the other side of that too. And like humans crave that, connection. They want to see you, they want to see people at your company. So even if you're not the one creating video, maybe you have a team member who would love to record videos, and that's a great, opportunity for.
Yes. Yes.
you know,
Love
a
it.
partner who can do that for you as well and help facilitate that and make it easier.
Well, and what are, speaking of like creating video content, what are some ways? I mean, that just sounds expensive when you talk about video content because video is a lot of effort. What are some tools that if an MSP did want to try to do some video content on their own, what are some tools that they could use that you recommend that are maybe on the budget friendly side rather than expensive?
Yeah. And that's a great question because I feel like that's a hot topic across the entire internet and in
Yeah,
the creator economy to B2C, B2B, everyone's trying to figure out how to like create a production setup, you know, or
right.
like how to make it easier to record video. And even using basic tools like Excel or Google Sheets in your planning phase or in your sort of idea creation phase.
Yeah,
Google Sheets is free. You can use that. You can
yeah,
download free templates from HubSpot for content calendars and like planning templates. That's a great starting point in terms of like getting your ideas out there and then moving into the
yeah,
production. Um, they're really inexpensive. If you want to go to like to actually investing in equipment, that can be pricey, but
yeah,
there's some low level like even vlogging cameras like Sony has
yeah,
a great
yeah,
inexpensive option that's like an entry level camera. And then
yeah.
even your phone. We all have cell phones.
I know. We all make quite an investment typically in our iPhone. So why not start there, right?
Yeah, and they have and cell phones these days have great cameras.
Yeah.
Like so many people film YouTube videos using the rear camera on their smartphone and they
Yeah.
connect like a lapel mic or
Yeah.
you know, a cheap
You
wireless mic on
you can
Amazon.
do can't you do a little ring light on a cell phone too? Don't they have those? Yeah.
Yes, like a
It doesn't
clip-on
have to
light.
be fancy. Yeah, it doesn't have to be fancy.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that it's easy to get overwhelmed, especially, I think that a lot of times when we hear content, people say, "Oh, well, I'm not a writer." Not all content has to be written. And I think that, if and also there are a lot of AI tools that allow any audio, if you are comfortable in front of a camera but you're not comfortable writing, or vice versa, there are a lot of tools out there that can help you get one format to another format
Yeah.
very, very seamlessly and easily. Especially now in the world of AI, which we're going to talk about on our next webinar that we're doing. We have a
Oh,
whole
exciting.
dedicated to AI. So yes.
That's
Any other
exciting.
tools by name that you have or that can think of that
Mm,
quality standpoint, content standpoint?
I really like Planoly and
Yeah,
Later. Those are great. I think either Later or Planoly might have a free option or at
yeah,
least like a trial option where you can, you know,
yeah,
test it out.
yeah,
Um, in terms of gear and stuff, I feel like a cheap or not a cheap, but like you can find a lot of tripods or like camera mounts on Amazon, like
yeah.
very inexpensive. It doesn't have to be like a huge
Right,
investment to do video.
right.
CapCut is a great editing software. I've heard a lot of people use InShot. Um, yeah, those two are super popular right now. And
Yeah,
that does take some editing skill. You know, you do have
yeah.
to have some type of, you know, skill in editing to like put the video together and make it, you know,
And I
seem
will say, never underestimate the value of a college intern because that's something that
yeah.
very quick work for a 19 to 20-year-old that would take, maybe somebody like me a lot longer to do. So I think never
Yeah.
underestimate the power of somebody who's willing to get their hands dirty a little bit and learn. So
Yeah.
those are some things that I think often overlook as business owners that really we need to pay more attention to. Is there's always somebody out there that can do it faster and better than you. And our job is to hire people who are better than us that are smart, smart and quick
Yeah.
to learn.
As a previous college intern many years ago, or several years ago, you know,
Yeah,
I tested out. So
yeah,
and I
absolutely.
didn't mind. So, you know, and it's also a great learning opportunity if you know someone, or if you have a team member who has a family member or something who's interested in
Right.
video editing or like media production or anything, that can be a
Great
really great
portfolio
opportunity.
building. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So let's talk about engagement and community building. One of the things that we talk with often with our clients is that we can deliver content for our clients. We can, post things to social media. But one of the things that really can move the needle is engaging with the right people I love to remind folks, social media is social for a reason. So, we know because we're doing it all the time, it's not just about posting. So dig in a little bit, like how do you feel about, how do we develop like a cadence for, obviously there, especially on LinkedIn for B2B, there's so many groups that could be joined where we could just take time every week to engage in some dialogue there. That's a good opportunity to meet folks, or to at least, show our thought leadership. What are your thoughts on how important it is to interact and engage with your audience on social media? And then I want to tag onto that. Do you feel like for B2B, there's a better platform to do that? If we know we only have 30 minutes a week and we're going to spend it on one platform, your thoughts there.
Yeah. If you only have 30 minutes once a week, LinkedIn for sure. LinkedIn is like the end all be all for like B2B.
Agree.
B2B networking, connection building, and then thought leadership as well.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not just about posting. Like, I think there's a big misconception in B2B and even in B2C sometimes too, where you post and then maybe you don't really have to engage with other people or follow other people, but really that's sort of the fun of social media. And that's what really gives life to your social media presence, is building a community, interacting with people, making those connections. And it can be something like 5 minutes once a day, every day, just replying to comments. And when you reply to comments, you like posts, you're actively, engaging in the social aspect of social media, it actually helps boost your account in the long run. And
LinkedIn loves that, don't they?
It helps. And because you're actually being active, you're, managing your community and being involved in your community. And especially on LinkedIn, they'll be more likely to push your account and content out, or at least that's what I've seen from my experience. They're pushing it out. And LinkedIn in particular is putting a heavy emphasis right now on like their creator. Creator accounts. Which is interesting.
I think I like to remind folks, especially when it's easy to get into like leads. How do we get leads? And everyone's so focused on leads, they don't understand you really have to lay a foundation where if you're just driving, let's just say you're just driving intent-based Google ads as your only piece of your marketing mix that's generating leads, and then they go look at your LinkedIn and you haven't engaged or posted in 6 years. It all goes hand in hand. And also, I think it's important to remember, just in this kind of community engagement conversation, and I say this often, and I know if you listen to me consistently on podcasting, you're probably tired of hearing it, but if you're selling something and delivering value and all you do is talk at people about what you're selling and aren't engaging and listening, then no one really wants to hear what you have to say, because it's all about you. And so really, you speak to that a little bit, but that engagement part of it is just so critical.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with what you just said. It's very critical. And whenever you're putting effort into building a community and just engaging with people, you're also, leaning into that authenticity factor, the relatability. Even as a business, you still need that. And you're also laying a foundation for people who come to your social media and they see what you've been doing. They see like that you're active, it shows that you care too about your community and the people that you could potentially engage with, like your clients. There's also a care factor there. So 100% agree with that.
And we're talking mostly about social media today. So maybe we do a part 2 where we talk about SEO content, because that's a whole other, we're now developing content strategies. We have pillar content where everything really is interwoven so that we can interlink content on your website to keep people on there longer. That's to me, that can certainly be overwhelming. So I feel like that's its own podcast, but specifically on social media, what are, if you had a couple of top things from this visit together that MSPs and IT companies need to remember, as it relates to attracting their ideal client with social media, what would those tips be?
I don't think I've said this, but don't be afraid to experiment. You have to be able to experiment and to try new things, be brave on social media, and just sort of lean into what's working and just try new things.
Yeah.
Also lean into the authenticity factor and the relatability, human factor on social media that's just inherent across any social media platform to really show potential buyers or clients, whoever, that you're human too,
Yeah.
you know, and trying to um you're trying to understand who they are so you can better solve their problems. I think that's definitely something important to remember.
Yeah. I think I posted the other day on our team channel that teamwork without team is just work. The same thing, like social media without human is just media. It's not, it's not
Yeah,
social if you take the human out of it. So I think that's
yeah,
really great tips. Remember that it's a human based platform, and that we need to not be worried or scared about just being authentically ourselves and
yeah.
embrace social media. So
Trying new things. And I might also add on to that to lean into brand building,
yeah,
showing your team. That's a big thing too. I
yeah,
see a lot of IT companies, tech companies on Instagram in particular who do lean into showing their team, showing their
yeah,
posting videos of their team events,
yeah,
and they have a lot of success doing that.
yeah.
So
I think
it's really
that
important.
absolutely. I think that we sometimes, cripple ourselves by thinking of content ideas, but really just being human and allowing maybe there's a takeover one day where somebody from your team is taking over social media, or, letting them engage, because that really will amplify, especially because if you involve your team, they will certainly share your content. So that will amplify your reach for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
thank you, Sarah. You've got so much knowledge. We're definitely going to do a part 2 and talk specifically about SEO related content. I think that's too much to bite off in one podcast, but thank you so much. If you want to learn more about the business growers, Sarah's got her bio on our website, thebusinessgrowers.com. Any parting tips or any, I guess
Thank
you
you
just
for having me. Yeah,
parting
I'm
tips?
excited. I'm excited for a part 2 with SEO because that does have very different intention behind it. So I'm sure we could talk a lot about that. But thank
Yes.
you. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.